folks, it's the year 2026, and the hardest thing to do in GTA Online is to figure out what you want to play, because this game has turned into a full-on criminal empire simulator with so many different businesses, daily activities, as well as jobs, to the point where it's basically unrecognizable from its OG days. But for me at least, despite the GTA Online meta kind of shifting and evolving over the years, there are 6 businesses in particular that I always find myself coming back to whenever I'm in doubt and just want something reliable for my daily money grind. These 6 businesses by themselves have made me hundreds of millions of dollars over the years through both good and bad times, allowing me to finance my extremely unhealthy habit of buying useless purchases like a Luxor Deluxe or a super yacht, so I can then make a video telling you guys how much those vehicles suck. That's why in today's video, I'll tell you what makes these 6 businesses so special to me, and why I think any GTA Online player can easily make a fortune by grinding a very limited selection of activities. Are these the absolute best money makers in the game if we go strictly by profit per hour? No, that would be Kayo or possibly even the Bogdan glitch. But for me, if I'm going to prioritize something and make it a part of my daily grind, it has to be both profitable as well as fun. Otherwise, what's the point of even playing video games, right? Okay then, so let's kick things off with my essential business number 1, which is the Acid Lab. And this has been featured several times in my business ranking list in the S tier, and I've also stated previously that it is the only business in GTA Online that's completely free. So let me run you through my thought process when it comes to the Acid Lab and how the introduction of mansions has moved this business up the priority list for me whenever I log into GTA Online. You see, we now have this thing called the Mansion Production Speed Boost, which is essentially an all-day steroids program for your passive income sources, and what it does is increase the production rate of any passive business of your choice. That is a 200% increase, by the way, not a mere doubling of production speed, which means the actual production speed is now 300%, so 3x the default value, which means here that an Acid Lab that previously took 4 hours total to go from 0 to full stock can now do a full turnover of product in just 1 hour and 20 minutes, which is absolutely insane for $351,000 worth of product. But here's what makes it even better in my opinion. You don't even have to ever step foot inside of the business, not even once, until you need to make a sale. To manage your Acid Lab, just call up Mutt on your phone, tell him to buy supplies, and he'll do all the hard work for you. Then when you actually want to sell the goods, just go into your mansion and teleport directly into your Acid Lab. It barely takes 8 minutes for a sell mission with a Manchez Scout dirt bike, and by the time you're done, Mutt is already busy cooking up the next batch of acid for you. So the business is extremely easy to manage for one, it doesn't intrude on my active grind, and it makes me exceptionally high profit per hour rates for a passive income source, and once you hook that up to the Mansion Production Speed Boost, you're golden. That's why the Acid Lab is my go-to passive grind these days. It has all the benefits of a high-paying biker business like the Coca-Cola lockup or a math lab, minus any of the downsides of those businesses. No multi-vehicle sell missions, no slow dodos, no garbage trucks, no need to constantly shuffle around the map whenever you want to resupply or start a sell mission, because your Acid Lab comes to you whenever you need it. My next daily grind essential is the Bunker, and it's a business that's been around for ages at this point. It was introduced with the gun running update all the way back in June 2017, and bunkers have seen very little change in terms of their payout structure or features, and that's because this is one of the few cases where Rockstar nailed it on the head right from day one. Besides that, bunkers are also the only place where you can research new weapon, ammunition, and armor upgrades, so not only are they an excellent way to make lots of money passively, but they also unlock irreplaceable tech upgrades that completely change the way you play GTA Online. Is it a bit scummy to put all these gameplay enhancers like explosive rounds and thermal scopes behind an artificial lock? Sure, maybe you can argue that, but that's also normal gameplay progression in a game like this, and it's also a one-time purchase, and it makes the Bunker stand out from all the other passive businesses, which do little more than pad your bank account. Even in terms of pure money-making potential, the Bunker stands head and shoulders above other passive income sources, like for example, the biker businesses. Sure, it does need 11 hours and 40 minutes to fill up the product, but a math lab needs 6 hours, and a Coca-Cola lockup needs 5.5 hours. And even if you combine those two at full stock, they still fall short of matching the Bunker, which gives you $1,050,000 with a full borrow product once you sell it. But now, again, with the Mansion Production Speed Boost, you don't have to actually wait the full 11 hours and 40 minutes anymore. Instead, you can fill your Bunker up in just 3 hours and 53 minutes. And that is just crazy time for over $1 million in revenue. And here's why I love the Bunker so much. Its timings match up perfectly with my Acid Lab production, especially if I'm doing just one resupply rather than waiting for the full Bunker to fill all the way up. If you remember earlier, I mentioned that a Mansion Production Speed Boost takes the Acid Lab production time down to just 1 hour and 20 minutes. With a Bunker, you need 2 hours and 20 minutes to process a single resupply worth $75,000. So by the time my Bunker is done processing those supplies, I will have already completed 2 Acid Lab sales for $700,000 combined. Then I can immediately fast travel from my mansion to my Bunker and do a sell mission over there for another $200,000 $210,000, bringing my total passive income up to $910,000. Pretty convenient, right? Next, we've got the agency, which is my third essential business, and it's also the one that has improved my quality of life in GTA Online the most. Sure, the Dr. Dre VIP contract, to me at least, is a much more entertaining heist than Kaio because of its higher gameplay density. It also feels almost like they squeezed 3 hours worth of content into just a single hour or a little bit above that with the storyline, but that's not the main reason why I recommend the agency so highly anyways. No, rather, it's a combination of the various utilities that it offers. Things like passive income from the wall safe, which you only have to set up once by doing 201 security contracts. From that point onwards, you'll get a guaranteed $20,000 in your safe every single in-game day. That's all the cash I need for my daily supply of body armor and ammo. And speaking of body armor, if I set the agency as my spawn point, I don't ever have to see the inside of an ammunition store ever again, because now I can just grab all of my armor, my rebreathers, my night vision, etc. at a 5% discount directly from my agency armor. Then we also have the fast travel with the agency SUV service, which I've used to great effect in the Dr. Dre heist to speedrun it. Whenever I do the Marina mission in the Nightlife League, for example, I always teleport to LSIA from my agency, and then there I grab my Oppressor Mark II and fly directly towards the ocean, land on the yacht, and fly away with the evidence. It takes 3 minutes to do the whole mission this way. Then in the Country Club mission, I set my SUV travel point to Chumash, and it places me less than a mile away from the Pacific Bluffs Country Club. Once again, I cut down on my overall mission time by 30% just by using the agency fast travel. And whenever my Dr. Dre VIP contract is on cooldown, or I've completed my salvage yard robberies for the week, I fill up that downtime by doing some security contracts or even payphone hits for Franklin. The security contracts in particular are honestly really solid money makers on their own, as they only take about 3 to 5 minutes most of the time. The longest variants can take you 6 to 10 minutes, absolute maximum, and you don't want to do those anyway. And once you do them, you're making about $35,000 to $70,000 on average. And while they're on cooldown, you can also do payphone hits, which don't pay as much as they used to, but $45,000 for just a short 5-minute job with only a 10-minute cooldown is way better than anything else in the game that I can think of. By the way, you can request both security contracts and payphone hits just by calling up Franklin on your phone if you want. And let's not forget the Amani Tech upgrades either, because those have completely revolutionized the way we treat PvP combat in GTA Online free roam lobbies. With the addition of missile lock-on jammers, additional armor plating for your cars, remote controlled cars and whatnot, griefers on flying missile bikes and jets are no longer the terrifying threats that they once used to be. Now you have a chance of fighting back or even escaping, and what's cool is that the addition of Amani Tech to old unarmored cars and helicopters through DLC updates has made them relevant once again in the current era of GTA Online. Next, for business number 4, we've got the nightclub, and it hasn't seen any major changes with the introduction of mansions. However, the nightclub is already way too good of a passive moneymaker as is. It doesn't need any buffs. This is a place where you can walk in every 48 minutes, grab $50,000 from your wall safe, and walk out without having to do anything except the occasional VIP escort or bouncer mission. And if you're too lazy even for that, you can just swap out DJs from the Terabyte or Mansion Master Control Terminal by spending $10,000, and that will ensure your popularity level stays at max level all the time. That's what I do anyway. I just swap DJs from a Master Control Terminal because I hate the promo missions, and I just don't visit my nightclub all that frequently, except for when I need to withdraw the safe cash or do a sell mission. And so if I want to switch DJs there, I'll just go into the basement, because if you do it from the office, you get a cutscene, and doing it from the basement can skip that cutscene. Anyways, I probably made over $100 million just from my nightclub over these past few years across different accounts, half of which is just the passive cash from the safe, while the other half is the nightclub warehouse, which gives me over $1 million in profit every 20 IRL hours. What I love about the warehouse in particular is that it takes advantage of all the MC businesses that I'm not grinding myself. These days, I just sell to street dealers, and knowing that I'm also making something out of it through my nightclub makes me feel less bad about not optimizing my MC grind, because dear God, those multi-vehicle sell missions are just absolutely awful. I can't bring myself to do those anymore. And the way things are, I barely managed to push myself through a dodo or garbage truck sell mission, even on a 2 times money event week. But on normal days, no way. I just let my nightclub make money for me by linking up my math, Coca-Cola, and cash to the warehouse. And it's good to know that those MC businesses I spent so much money and time on aren't being totally wasted, because I'm at least getting something out of it via the nightclub warehouse, as well as I'm also just resupplying the MC businesses and then stocking up product and selling that product to street dealers anyway. Then for my essential business number 5, I've actually got a few heists that I like to call tier 2 heists, because they are less complex and pay less money than Kaio or the Diamond Casino, for example, but they're still worth grinding for me, because because there's absolutely no way I'm ever grinding Cayo Perico again after all these years. I made hundreds of millions of dollars just from Cayo alone. I made my peace with that heist. It's helped me out greatly, but once you really start optimizing for money and time instead of enjoyment, the missions begin to get really boring really fast. Especially the setups, which on Cayo are an absolute chore. I mean, seriously, be honest in the comments. Who among you likes to fly a slow as hell Velum over Los Santos for 5 minutes and then spend the next 20 minutes gathering construction equipment for Pavel? Like, do I seriously need to take out the weaponized helicopter to steal a basic cutting torch? Can't I just order one on Amazon by using a fake name and address? We already know El Rubio is stupid because in the 100 plus times I've robbed his island, he has never once changed the guard routes or security equipment. So he probably won't be able to figure out where the equipment came from in the first place. Anyway, Cayo rant aside, I find myself spending more time on the simpler heists, like the Cluckenball Farm Raid and Oscar Guzman Flies Again missions. That's because they can be easily done in under 40 to 45 minutes, and they also pay out really well as well. Oscar Guzman, for example, pays $750,000 on hard mode, which is the second only to the likes of the Diamond Casino and Dr. Dre contract. Plus, I get to use my own weapons instead of some highly restrictive loadout. I also get to use my own Hakucho Drag, my own Vigilante or Weaponized Tampa, or Weaponized Ignis. One of my go-to combos in recent times has been the Cluckenball Farm Raid, followed by the new, quick, no way out storyline that takes about 1.5 hours combined, and it pays over $1.1 million. Add in an Oscar Guzman Flies Again mission to that, and you've got yourself $1.9 million for the day. Plus, I have my passive businesses like the nightclub, the acid lab, and bunker always running in the background, so I'm easily making over $3 million a day while doing these tier 2 heists. In fact, I know this particular grind works out really well because I've spent over $40 million on all 3 mansions last December, and I've already made all that money back twice over by now. And lastly, for business number 6, I've got another multi-choice selection of options here. This time, we're talking about my 3 go-to active grinds that I play daily, and these are the Auto Shop, the Garment Factory, and the Salvage Yard. Income per hour with these is comparable for the 3 of them, so about $450,000 to $600,000 per hour, depending on how you run them and how good you are with these businesses. With the Garment Factory, I start every week by doing the priority file for an easy $350,000. Then I cycle through all 3 regular files for about $600,000 total, and I like to do this over a period of 3 days. First, I'll do a FIB file, then I'll drop into my auto shop, maybe deliver a customer vehicle or 2. Then I like to do a quick auto shop contract. Usually I'm going to opt for a Union Depository or the prison heist or the ECU job. If not that, then I'll do the super dollar deal. Then I'll usually head over to my salvage yard and do one of the 3 weekly car robberies alongside a quick tow truck job. While the tow truck is on cooldown, I like to do a payphone hit or a security contract to fill up the time until the next tow truck job. And this way I can salvage 2 cars at the same time for about $80,000 combined. Meanwhile, my salvage yard wall safe, on the other hand, is also accumulating money with me, so I'm actually making about $100,000 in semi-passive income every single in-game day just from the salvage yard alone. And because these salvage yard staff members work even when you're offline, I like to do 2 more tow truck jobs before I log off the game for the day, so I'm greeted with a further $100,000 as soon as I log back in for the next day of play. Just by combining my auto shop, my garment factory, and my salvage yard, I'm making well over $6 million a week, and then once you add in those tier 2 heists we've talked about and the passive businesses I've listed earlier, that number goes up to well over $20 million a week if you're actively playing the game. Anyways, that's how I made hundreds of millions of dollars in GTA Online over the past few years just with these 6 businesses. Now, I'm sure a lot of you folks watching also have a list of your own go-to businesses that you know you can always rely on to make you lots of money, businesses that you don't get tired of grinding, businesses that are just plain fun to play. So tell me down in the comments which businesses you like the most and why. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on this video if you guys did go on to enjoy it or found the video informative. Consider subscribing to the channel if you are new and you want to see more GTA Online content.